In July of 1988, my life changed forever. I got married, and that will change your life. Now, I want to talk about what psychologists talks about as being the most important relationship of our lives. The most important relationship in the family is the relationship between the husband and wife. That's true of children toward their parents. That's true of the parents with one another, and even the relationship that we have with ourselves. It is very complex. This is not an easy thing. First of all, I want to be very, very clear. I'm not the ideal marriage partner. In fact, if you were to ask my wife, she would tell you, she'd be the first one to tell you that I'm not the ideal person to be married to. We have been married, we are married. We've been married for more than 30 years. We have had incredibly happy times and we've had incredibly sad times. We're still married. We've had trials, we've had triumphs. We're still married. Marriage to me is and always has been about commitment. Some have definitions of love that are empowering, romantic. Some have definitions of love that are highly practical and pragmatic. What marriage really is commitment. And are we willing to be committed has very little to do with the other person. It has very little to do with what that person will do, say, or be. It has to do with, are we committed? That's an internal thing. That's not an external thing. Regardless of what my wife does or does not do, does not determine my level of commitment. Now, that is not to make light of divorce, to realize that there are some relationships and some times where the relationship really should part. And when people go their separate ways, they can probably become more. That's an individual thing. That's a very individual choice. There is nobody from the outside who can make that determination. And when you think you can, you're lying. I had a responsibility for many years to counsel people in their marital relationships. Now again, I'm not holding myself out here as being this wonderful person to be married to, the one to give all of the marital advice, the one that is truly the romantic, and the one that has kept his wife happy over happy for years and years and years. I'm not that guy. I don't want to be pretending to be that guy. I'm doing the best I know how to do, and sometimes that's not been good enough. I'll be very honest with that. I am committed. I do know it can be improved. I do know it can be better. As I've dealt with people who have struggled in their marriage, what I generally find is that they're struggling in themselves, and that is manifest in the marriage. There are situations. No one person should be beating on no other person. No one person should be taking advantage of, using or abusing any other person. Those things are absolutely wrong. There is no parent that should be beating on or abusing or taking advantage of a child in a relationship, and the other parent just simply ignoring the fact that it's happening while it's damaging the child for whom they have responsibility. That's not acceptable. Marriage at all costs is not what commitment is all about. Commitment requires that we be committed to ourselves and committed to the relationship. There are many health benefits to being married. People that are married tend to live longer. They tend to have fewer heart attacks, fewer strokes. They tend to be less depressed. They tend to have less complications. They tend to be less advanced in cancer when diagnosed. They tend to have higher recovery rates for major operations. I believe in marriage. I believe it's a better circumstance for ourselves. I believe I have grown far more significantly. I've been more successful. I've been pushed. I've been challenged far more than I would have been had I left it just to myself. I believe in the principle of marriage. I believe in the concept of marriage. I believe in the construct of love. I love my wife. I loved falling in love with her. I love loving her. I also love others, and I love others in very deep ways. That doesn't diminish the love that I have for my wife. That doesn't diminish the type of love that it takes to be successfully married. Whatever successfully married means, we have to identify that for ourselves. Are we willing to be happy? regardless of our circumstance, regardless of the other people, regardless of who it is that is in our life, are we willing to be happy? Do we want to share the time that we have with someone else and help in the circumstance of their happiness as well? Do we want to provide experience to another to help lift them? Are we committed to the experience of relationship with another person? These are all factors when we consider the most personal of personal experiences, that of being married. It's not to be taken lightly, nor is it to be idealized beyond reality. You have to come to terms with what marriage means and is for you. You have to come to terms with what you can and cannot live with. You have to come to terms with being happy with yourself and being happy with someone else. You have to come to absolute terms in your marriage with the experience that you're willing to have and the experience that you're willing to give. Once you come to terms with that internally, what you're willing to have and what you're willing to give, then your experience in life will be expanded beyond measure. You can truly be happy, even though every day in a marriage is not happy. You can truly be fulfilled, even though every moment, every month in your marriage may not be fulfilling. Once we honestly and truly consider the experience that we're willing to have and give, that experience can expand beyond ourselves to our children, to our children's children, and to all of the people that we together are privileged to touch. That is what having and creating exceptional experiences is all about. That's what experiencing life is. It is incredibly important, and there's no more important work than you have to do. Thank you so much for being with me. I do appreciate it. I'll see you on the next Primacy Podcast.